What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition. Oh, ladies, please, likes, and locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Thank you to producer Jacob. We're starting a little bit early today, so I can get the heck up out of here. Got the old school Randy Moss jersey going. My folks over in the corner, I don't know if you can see this, but Justin Jefferson signed poster. Oh my God. You're never going to know where I live because that's now my most prized possession. It's all right. I don't even need a wedding ring. Just give me that. That's what I need in my life. I love you, honey. Anyway, we've got the old school Caesars graphic going behind me because, again, it thematically fits in with these Vikings, which I'm probably going to lament at the end of this video. But if anybody ends up guessing that score correct, like I asked for in the video description box below before the game starts, you're going to get yourself a Kadai Senga Ghost Fork baseball. Yeah, you heard me. Yeah, you heard me. Kadai Senga cashes a ticket for me. It's a beautiful time to be alive here in the Lindy's, Leans, Lakes, and Lock streets. Mainly, hey, somebody just nailed the exact score. If you don't, well, that ball is going to go on that stand back there with other sports memorabilia as I start adding to the collection here in the brand new office. But if you don't guess the score correctly, that's just fine too. Get yourself a little something as well. Caesars Sportsbook, bet $50, get yourself $250. That's five $50 bonus bets that will show up in your account. 1 immediately, 4 for the next 4 Mondays in a row. Heard there's Monday Night Football. Heard that's kind of an important thing that people might want to bet on. So take advantage of that in the video description box below, only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But we got almost all of the lines, well, a lot of the lines, more than I expected to have out at this point in time. Limited number of games that were on Thursday, and San Francisco, Colorado losing that on the slate. I'm going to talk about it regularly, but know that it might turn into a doubleheader. It might be a doubleheader over the weekend. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to handle that one, but that is TBD. As it stands right now, it's one game. It's standalone. I'll make sure that I cover what that could change into, but let me just tell you, Logan Webb is pitching one of them. But enough ado about nothing here at the front end. Producer Jacob, we got 15 games, maybe 16. Let's get to the picks. Day begins here with the Yankees, and oh my goodness, Garrett Cole on the mound going up against Johan Oviedo. And let me just say, Oviedo, this is insane to see this line at just minus 166. Now, the Yankees, they're completely out of playoff consideration. They're calling up God knows who to do God knows what. It is pretty wild to see a Yankees team that's just packing it in, because I feel like it's been a long time since we've seen this come the deadline or come the end of the season. Deadline, that doesn't make sense. But we're looking at Garrett Cole on the mound. He's still trying to make his Cy Young case here in the AL. He has a pretty good one. 2.79 ERA, 1.03 whip across the board, continuing to get strikeouts, continuing to be the one crowning achievement of this baseball team so far this season. Not a lost season for Garrett Cole if he can get some hardware, but him, Kevin Gausman, we'll see how Gausman ends up finishing up with his outing today. But a 27.5% K rate going up against these Pittsburgh Pirates. While we were able to find Jack Sawinski out of the middle of the clouds in some of these spots, not going to be a spot that I'm looking at the lefty going up against the righty Cole, simply because the guy's just exponentially better. So a homecoming of sorts for Garrett Cole, formerly of the Pirates, then the Astros, then the Yankees, but this is the organization he came up in. Probably going to be nice for him to be back in old Pittsburgh. Again, minus 166. That's pretty wild to me to see that number, considering it's Johan Oviedo on the other side. He's got a 19.8% K rate and a 10.1% walk rate. Neither of those are all that impressive. There was a four-seamer slider, and sure, he's probably going to get to fit. The back half of this Yankees lineup is not going to be good. Going to be a lot of young faces, and now Jason Dominguez out for the foreseeable future here. The UCL injury probably is going to keep him out the rest of this season, and could show up in DH right out of the gate next season if he's in decent enough shape for it. But we'll see how his surgery, how everything else ends up panning out for him there. Kind of a bummer injury for a young player that really came to prominence immediately upon getting called up. But Johan Oviedo, I don't understand this line. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. Minus 166 for the best, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Kadai Senga's the best pitcher in baseball. Garrett Cole money line. Yeah, Yankees money line. Let's fire that one up. I think that's a pretty good spot here. Kind of a parlay piece of sorts. I know a lot of you don't want to lay 166 to win 100, but guess what? It grades out really, really nicely for me. So do it. Good talk. Glad we had it. No way, oh, it's Johnny Cueto going up against Bryce Elder and these Braves. They're hosting them in Miami, Miami, or whatever they say. I've tried to do that bit so many times. It never goes well. Just like it never goes well for Johnny Cueto in the year of our Lord 2023, the guy who's built his entire repertoire on deception, slow releases. Well, when there's a pitch clock, you know the ball has to be out of your hand by a certain point, and it seems like he's getting right to the gun of it every time. Anyway, that's going to be something we're like, hey, maybe they just chuck it back to him. He goes into his motion quicker so we can at least use some of that stutter step weirdness and try to be effective, because hasn't been good this year with a 6.15 ERA, 1.24 whip, but also he's getting up there in years. How old is Johnny Cueto now? 3, 2, 1. He is 37 years old. There you go. Just was waiting for it to refresh on my end. But yeah, 6.15 ERA is not nearly as bad as his 4.81 expected ERA. But at this point in time, this is kind of like the Adam Wainwright situation where, like, he had some decent years built on what he did well. And for Cueto, that was deception. For Wainwright, that was keeping it down in the zone. But like now, kind of on the way out. Everyone can stop them. They're all the way out. Anyway, Bryce Elder on the other side of this one, the Elder Wand, if it broke in half like in the Deathly Hallows. I've made that joke twice now. Anyway, Bryce Elder, 18% K rate, 255 expected batting average. Nothing is great. Nothing is awesome from him other than the barrel percentage, 6%, and the ballpark. What a ballpark upgrade going from hot Atlanta to Miami here with the roof closed, because yeah, that's going to keep it in the old ballpark. That's for sure. Decent enough spot for runs, if you ask me. 9. It was like a Finding Nemo joke, but then German for no, which is a yes, because I like the over of 9. The Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Baltimore Orioles, and there was a lot of Baltimore skepticism that I was not expecting in the YouTube comment section from the premium Discord, from everybody. The Orioles sold. The Orioles are washed up. Oh, we can't bet the Orioles anymore. Yeah, you fucking can. Why can't you? Zach Eflin, Jack Flaherty. Well, that's why we're not going to bet the Orioles today, because Jack Flaherty is just a hot mess. It's not pretty. But like, I did not understand where people were coming from, just not wanting to bet Baltimore. They lost back-to-back against St. Louis. Guess what? That's going to happen from time to time. And over the course of the season, this team is winning in the AL East, one of the best divisions in baseball. And they've done so in pretty commanding fashion, pretty convincing fashion, if you ask me. It's just that Zach Eflin is not somebody that I'm going out of my way to pick on. And on the other side of this one, Jack Flaherty, I generally go out of my way to pick on. So this comes down to my valuation of the Baltimore lineup. It's the reason that I'm not going to be pulling the trigger on anything here. But Eflin, a 274 xWOB, a 25.7% K rate, and 3.6% walk rate across the board. Phenomenal numbers. Two problems: the barrel rate, 8.9%, and the lack of avoiding lefty power, which is still going to show up in this ballpark specifically. There's going to be some lefties who can do some damage. But Jack Flaherty, while he limits hard contact and has a lower barrel percentage than that of fellow righty Zach Eflin, Jack Flaherty, 7.2% barrel percentage. He carries that 341 xWOB, a 265 expected batting average, and just a 22.4% K rate. Can he still find success? Yes. Can he still be somebody who's very, very serviceable for Baltimore? He's got Adley Rutschman as his catcher, although Adley catching back-to-back days. Think this might be a James McCann catching spot, which really freaks me out. 4.98 ERA here for Flaherty now on the season, 1.57 whip. Given up 4 earned runs in back-to-back starts, at least 4 earned in 3 of his last 4 starts, and 3 or more earned in 5 straight starts. What I'm getting at, freaky situation, and if I had to do anything here, it's disgusting to say, but I would probably be going with Tampa Bay here. At -116, though, on the road, with this lineup, it's just doesn't feel like a spot to go try to pick on anything here, although if I did, it would be picking on the Flaherty side. We're going to take a trip down prop place. Yeah, that's the theoretical street I just made up. Brian Bayo going up against Jose Berrios. Berrios, haven't been picking on him nearly as much in 2023, but thought about it here. At least thought about it. And we're going to do it. But not with the total or money line or anything here, because this all looks perfectly efficient to me. Toronto, they should be a little bit favored here in this spot. You're starting to see Boston be happy to put out Abreu, to put out some of their young players that are starting to show up and do some really good positive things. I mean, you've now had Cedane Rafaela, 364 batting average, 2 homers, over a 1.0 OPS, although, again, just 33 at-bats. Let's slow our roll, but, like, really good results from a guy who had a really nice prospect grade, really good AAA season. So nice of him to get a little run here. It's kind of like the end of the NBA season where you start seeing, oh, this is what he can do in 30 minutes. Well, this is what he's doing against big league pitching. I think it bodes well for the future for them to find a righty bat in the outfield that can kind of help out Yoshida, Verdugo. Obviously, Duvall, when he's healthy, is going to be a good situation. But I'm pretty positive that, with Brian Bayo here, we're still not going to be backing the Boston side. We love the ground ball rate, 56.1%, but too much hard contact, 43.7% hard hit percentage, and just a 19.6% K rate against a team that got back Bo Bichette. You've still got Chapman and Vlad hitting the ball really, really hard. They can mix and match some pieces in there, and obviously got an emerging player in Davis Schneider, who the hard hit has come way down on him, but still a 535 expected slugging that in a larger sample size would be leading this baseball team. He's not a qualifying player yet, but for all intents and purposes, it's leading this baseball team. However, we're going to pick on Jose Berrios just a little bit. Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. We're going to head to the crib in a little bit, and you're going to see how I live in a little bit with Jose Berrios. Just a 13.9% K rate against lefties with a 176 expected ISO and a 202 actual ISO. You know who's really good from the left side for the Red Sox? Rafael Devers. We started our season off jamming this dude in the right spots, all the right places. Oh, we're going down. Not as cool when you back up 50 with... Is that Imagine Dragons? No, it's those... It's like the guy who sings all of the pop songs. Whatever. Rafael Devers is going to hit a homer, and that's really the important part about what I'm saying, not me trying to come up with cool pop culture references, because those are out. So a dime a dozen with me. I'm washed up. I'm a has-been. Could have been a contender. Thank God we have producer Jacob. One Republic is who I was thinking of. One frickin' Republic. They've done 48 million songs. Sorry that I forgot the name of their little band. They are bajillionaires. We should try to get into some of that music money. I can play the guitar. I can play the piano. Singing, not my forte. I know you probably are shocked by that. But Hunter Green, pretty shocked to see him come right out of the gate, rocking and rolling for Cincinnati here. It's a little too late. It's just a little too late, a little too wrong, and I can't wait. That's enough of that song. We saw him with 9 strikeouts and just 1 hit given up there against St. Louis. Did have 4 walks in the process, but 109 pitches in his first start in 10 days coming off of the COVID IL. Wild outcome there from Hunter Green, but his best start of the entire season there in that spot. Not his highest K output. He's had double-digit Ks in a couple of these, but those who checked into our program before the Year of Our Lord 2022 know that I'm in love with Hunter Green. I just love him so much. I wish he was my brother. That would be fantastic to have a Major League Baseball brother, but instead I have an older and younger brother. They're both lovely, but like they're not Hunter Green. And he throws a lot of great fastballs. And it's literally like all he does is just pepper dudes with fastball, fastball, fastball. Then he mixes it up with an absolutely disgusting, lethal slider that just hurts souls. Anyway, David Peterson probably hurts the souls of the Mets on the other side of this one. Very disappointing season this year with a 44.8% hard hit percentage, 349 xWOBA, and a 445 expected slugging. The one thing he does, he strikes out guys north of a 24% K rate. That's fun. That's nifty. But considering last year he had a 27.8% K rate and a 3.94 expected ERA, this is massive regression to see 24.5% K rate next to a 5.25 expected ERA. So not an ideal situation, but say we're going down prop plays. We're going to keep that trend in here with Hunter Green against these Mets. Think you're going to run into some diluted Mets lineups. They are happy to, they put up infinity runs today against Arizona, but the fact remains that I do think this Mets team, they're probably going to roll out most of the guys at the top of the lineup, but there's no need for them to push these guys multiple days, multiple games. I think there's going to be opportunities we have to look at a watered down Mets lineup. And you kind of want to be early to the party with guys like Hunter Green, who are still getting the leash for over 100 pitches, 108 pitches last time out. If he gets it rocking, if he gets it rolling, Hunter Green up to 8 strikeouts, daddy likey. And the very last house here at the end of the straight on prop place. It's a beautiful, beautiful straight. Lucas Giolito of the Cleveland Guardians. Oh, this guy's the Village Bicycle, baby. Everybody's had a ride. It's not good. It's not a good sign. Yeah, he's bad now. He's going to be going up against John Gray in this spot, who's been better between the two of them, but still not an ideal season from him. Just a 21.8% K rate, 257 expected batting average. And I do like what slider does, but if it's not located well, he's been up to an 8.5% walk rate this season for John Gray. Gray's not my favorite color. Feeling so symphonic yesterday. Lucas Giolito, 42.6% hard hit percentage. He'd take his Gray guitar and play, that's for sure. Giving up the hard contact, 18.1 degree average launch angle, 442 expected slugging. My God, I have never seen a like this next to this and do this kind of a play in my entire lifetime, mainly because Corey Seager is an absolute god amongst men, and he's facing Lucas Giolito, who against lefties, yeah, he's got a 26.7% K rate, but a 217 expected ISO and a 244 actual ISO. He gives up crazy power to righties as well, but like the guy I want here is Corey Seager with his 356 expected ISO, 23 home runs against righties on the season and just 307 plate attempts. I'm getting better than plus 240 here in Cleveland. And again, Cleveland, not the easiest ballpark to hit homers out of. I expect this number to be well north of that. Corey Seager to home run will be my favorite home run play here to fire up. Again, I can't tell you that for certainty because I kind of need to see the numbers, but this is a fantastic spot to be invested on the star shorty lefty. Star shorty lefty? Lefty shorty star? Just play Corey Seager to go home run. Run far away from this baseball game, my Minnesota Twins taking on the Chicago White Sox. And it's not that I don't believe that we're going to absolutely smash them with Bailey Ober going up against Jesse Schultens. It's just that when this number drops, when it comes, it's not going to be good. We saw it today. I said I had the lean lock situation going with Minnesota. You were looking at minus 110 at open on the run line for the Twins. They were massively graded, and part of that is getting Kirilloff back with Wallner. You're facing some righties. That's great stuff, but I'm very nervous about Minnesota here in this spot, even against a bad guy in Jesse Schultens here, mainly because what is that number going to look like? We knew that Urania, they were going to just absolutely let him, they're going to let him just do whatever. And I'm very curious to see how this game goes down, having not bet anything other than an Alex Kirilloff home run in this spot. Thought that was a little bit massively valued. Plus 750 at FanDuel. That was a big, big number for a guy with big pop. Considering Matt Wallner sitting around plus 460, what are we doing here? But Jesse Schultens, he's not good. It's not like that's going to go overlooked by the books here in this spot. And based on the numbers from today, I have no doubt that Bailey Ober is going to be a big favorite here as well. Schultens does some things well, 7.3% barrel percentage in the hard hit, but just a 15.3% K rate. If you're not striking out these Twins, they're going to punish you because the lefties are solid. Matt Wallner, Max Kepler, Jorge Polanco switch hitter. Edward Julian has been good with a 430 expected slugging. And then the righties, you get Correa, you get Royce Lewis, and I forgot Alex Kirilloff in the lefty section. Obviously him because, I bet him to homer. But feel as though this Twins lineup against a bad lefty who doesn't get strikeouts, no way the books are going to let us bet it, just like they didn't want us to have a good time and party. Again, I didn't have a chance to bet it until minus 115, so I just ended up passing. It was sad. It was sad. Anywho, on the other side, Bailey Ober is good, 36.2% hard hit percentage, but I don't have a lot to add. There's not going to be value here more than likely, and I'm not going to bet the White Sox because man must have a code, and that's mine here at this point in time. September 15th, let's just get away from everything that has to do with this baseball game. I'll obviously lean the Twins side because why wouldn't I? But please understand that this is not going to be a good spot. I can tell you ahead of time, based on what happened on Thursday, that this will be a pass. A 2-for-1 special at Kmart. Ring the bell, everybody. Ring my bell. Christian Javier on a very down year going up against Zach Greinke on a very, very, very down year for him as well. These righties have really, somehow just horrendous across the board. Greinke way worse, so that's fair. 483 expected slugging, 15.8% K rate. But compared what was expected between the two of them, because Greinke, he's got his Cy Young. He's on the way out here. He knows where in his career he is. Christian Javier, a 2.43 expected ERA last season in a 2,500 plus pitch sample size. A 4.68 expected ERA this season in a 2,500 plus pitch sample size. What happened, bro? What are we doing here? I have no explanation. 93, 94, sitting there on the gun. Like, what happened to these pitches? He's just getting hit up so hard. Look at the four-seamer from last year. 326 slugging. It's up to 473 this season. Last season, batting average against that four-seamer, 183. The guy's up to a 245 batting average against this season. And across the board, we're looking at spin that's down nearly 100 RPMs, which is like unheard of. So I don't know if he's somebody who got caught with sticky stuff and they're like, nope, can't publicize Houston being bad, or what happened here. But it is just beyond all rationale why we'd be looking at that side of it. But Kansas City, it's going to be hard to find any kind of value here in Kauffman. You got to find somebody with real power to hit it out of here. Oh, wait, he exists on the Houston side, and he gets to tee off against Mr. Zach Greinke. That seems fun for Jordan Alvarez. Of course, Jordan Alvarez is going to be the homer pick, but also I think there might be a time to jump in on Houston -1.5. This might be a public side, but at -120, I'm going to just sit and wait. If it falls inside of that number to -115, happy to pull the trigger. But if it stays north of the -120 number, sitting at the -120 number, I'm okay to be passing on that as well. But Jordan Alvarez, he might be the star attraction here. A ballpark that's generally hard to hit it out of, but Sal Perez, big power, has had no problem here. Jordan Alvarez probably goes in that bucket. How about this, friends? What if I told you, like an ESPN 30 for 30, what if I told you you could get yourself $250 bonus bets just by investing $50 on a bet you're going to make anyway? Sounds pretty good, huh? Sounds pretty great to me. And right now, Caesars Sportsbook is offering just that to you. You simply go down to the link below, you click on it. You bet $50 on anything your heart desires. It could be from this video, from Ben Roz's bet of the day, from my friend Eitan Shander, checking out all of his good stuff on Eitan's Essentials. It could be from Isaiah Soros. It could be from Mike, our MMA guy. It doesn't matter what your name is. Bet $50 on it. Get yourself $250 in the form of 5 $50 bonus bets right now by signing up for that offer. Don't waste any time. Sign up at every sportsbook you can, especially here as NFL locks, NFL Lindy's locks are firing up here on Friday for you. You want to get yourself some exposure to some good opportunity for the college football streets, the NFL streets, to have some ammunition hot and fresh out the kitchen? Get yourself $250 in 5 $50 bonus bets, and ignore the reference I just made because that's a terrible human being. But go down to the comment section below, friends. Get yourself $50 bets in the form from $50 bet that you make originally there. Yes, you're going to get yourself a $50 bonus bet immediately, as well as every Monday for the next 4 weeks, a $50 bonus bet only for 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks. I hate myself. I legitimately, I mean, you probably knew that I was a little bit of a self-loathing person, but it's going to new heights here considering the play that I just put money on. I just took my hard-earned money and I placed it on a Washington Nationals Milwaukee Brewers game featuring Jake Irvin and Wade Miley. Let me repeat. I took money. I purposely bet in favor of Jake Irvin and Wade Miley. Now, here's the reasons. In my defense, I'm a sick person. Secondly, Jake Irvin, he's not good. He's a 26-year-old. We have a pretty decent sample size on him so far this season. 5.08 expected ERA next to a 4.20 ERA. So negative regression could be on the horizon, but the righty gets to face Milwaukee, and Milwaukee, while I think of them having Yelich, I think of them having Tellez, I think of them having decent enough lefties. These lefties have not been performing over the course of this season. You're talking about a 23.2% K rate for Milwaukee against righties, as well as an 88 WRC plus that is 5th worst in baseball against that handedness. They also only have a 139 ISO, which is tied for 3rd worst in baseball, only behind Cleveland and Washington. Now, Washington is facing a lefty on this side of it in Wade Miley, and we've talked repeatedly how Washington's been much better against left-handed pitching, 100 WRC plus. But they are giving some run to some absolute creative players. We're talking MLB The Show creative players. What are we doing here, Washington? I don't even understand what a Blankenhorn is. He's hitting 161 with a pop. Good for you. I don't know who Jake Alu is. I know who Lane Thomas is. He's rather good against lefties. I don't know who Jacob Young is either. I know he's been called up here for a little bit of time, but like, these are not major league players. They're grasping at straws trying to find anything on the Washington side. This is super targetable, even for somebody that I give no regard to, like Wade Miley here, simply because that cutter profiles pretty well against all of these hitters in the lineup. A 31.4% hard hit percentage. He's not going to get the swing and miss, but he wasn't going to get the swing and miss against Washington more than likely anyway. They've been really good at avoiding strikeouts all season long. In fact, against lefties, the third best mark at 18.4%, only 0.4% behind number one in Houston. So just saying, lots of reasons that I think both pitchers can find some success just a little bit sneakily here. And then this also goes down to what the number is. 8.5 in Milwaukee, neutral ballpark, and it's minus 105 on the under, so I'm getting a 5-cent discount. All of that factors into this just being barely a play. It's a like play. Don't go nuts. If you want to pass on it, I know how many of you hate unders as it is, which, again, I just want to win you money. That's the goal. This is a positive EV bet that not everybody wants to make. I hate it. It looks disgusting. I'm backing Jake Irvin and Wade Miley to do good things. I don't like September 15th. It's a bad day. Oh, it's a good day here, though, my friends. This is your play of the day. Aaron Nola going up against Zach Thompson. I repeat, Aaron Nola, one of the best pitchers in baseball, going up against Zach Thompson, one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Just saying. Actually, Zach Thompson, he's far from one of the worst pitchers in baseball. That was hyperbolic. He's got a 26.5% K rate. We're talking the 43% hard hit percentage, 322 xWOB, and a 9.4% walk rate against a litany of lefties that are going to be going completely nuts here if he hangs anything over the plate. He has been getting contact going down there. Kyle Schwarber, Brandon Marsh, Jake Cave if he ends up in the lineup there. Sorry, those are lefties going up against Lefty and Thompson. But you got Castellanos. You've got Trey Turner, who's starting to come back to life. Wake me up inside, or whatever it is. Alec Boehm as well. Nice to see him in this lineup. JT Realmuto here in St. Louis. This will be a fun one. But on the other side, this is where it really just doesn't make sense to me. We have another spot, just like Garrett Cole with the Yankees, where I don't understand the number. I don't. Minus 130 for Aaron Nola here in this spot. He's got a 25.6% K rate, a 6.1% walk rate, a 303 xWOB, a 37.7% hard hit percentage. Across the board, phenomenal, ridiculously good numbers. He has the better catcher supporting him here. Although I don't want to actually besmirch Contreras, but Contreras is day-to-day. Probably not going to be in the lineup. That's not a foregone conclusion, but it's a hand injury for a team that doesn't have any kind of reason to be pushing him back into service. I think that becomes Kaiser Sose. Kaiser Sose! Andre Kanizer will be your catcher more than likely. Not a very good defender as it looks, although he's slashing 242, 287, 442. He has 10 home runs on the season out of the middle of nowhere in less than 200 at-bats. Maybe give the dude some run at the plate. Just an idea, although I understand why they haven't, because they do have some better DHing options in certain spots, but that's beside the point. This is the point. Aaron Nola, minus 130 in a good pitcher's ballpark. Why? Oh, why would I not be backing him here automatically? I have this north of minus 150. It's a big discrepancy between my numbers and the numbers that the books are putting across the board. And in fact, do your due diligence, do your shopping. Better shop around shop. Minus 135 at Caesars, minus 130 at DraftKings. DraftKings, the best number on the board. That, my friends, is not the norm always the night before. Just throwing it out there. So jump on over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Smash this one fast. Minus 130 before it finishes north of minus 140. I predict the future. And that's what's going to happen. What could become a two-part series. Like part one, part two. Deathly Hallows. One's a lot better than the other. Although, I don't know. Prisoner of Azkaban, by far, the best of the Potter movies. Can we just throw that out there right ahead of time? Was that Inarritu, producer Jacob, that ended up? Double check who that was. Google it for me. I need to know by the end of this segment. But anyway, we've got potentially Logan Webb instead of this Wynn character against potentially Lambert here instead of whomever else that they would put out there. This could be a two-part game, so just be on the lookout. I expect Webb to absolutely pitch either the one game that they're playing here and then they make it up over the weekend, or you're going to see Webb just in one of the two-part series here, and then you see the Wynn character. But I'm going to talk about it as if it's Logan Webb simply because the ground ball rate, everything checked out across the board. And while I had the over in that spot for the 10.5 here, I would not necessarily go completely nuts on it if it were Lambert here in this spot. It was Alfonso Cuarón. Thank you so much. Not Inarritu. Very close, very close. Inarritu, phenomenal filmmaker in his own right. Of course, won Leonardo DiCaprio an Oscar for a movie that was not nearly as good as him in The Aviator, not nearly as good as him in Gangs of New York, not nearly as good. That's beside the point. We'll go down that rabbit hole later. Yeah, Gangs of New York was fantastic. What do you want? Get off my lawn, Scorsese? Daniel Day-Lewis just going out there doing things like this. Oh, the boy wants to fight, does he? And then I kind of want to like combine that into his character. If I had a straw, I'd drink your milkshake. But now I have to do the Lincoln as well, because that's Daniel Day-Lewis and Lincoln. Can you tell that I have nothing for this plan? San Francisco -1.5 if it ends up being Logan Webb against Lambert, and then this number ends up making sense. But right now it's listed as Win. I'm not going to bet this if it's Win. I'm just not. So sit around, wait, wish, do all of those things. How can I finish this segment? Scene. Screw it. We've got Skubal here going up against Griffin Canning here, and the Halos. My God, how good has Tariq Skubal been? He's been outrageously good. I'm looking at my recency model, and again, I have a model that gives me some short-term performance, long-term performance. Tariq Skubal is sitting third. About to choke like the Vikings anyway. I hope I'm wrong. Tariq Skubal sitting third in my recency model. That's absurd. Maybe it has to do with the fact that he had 9, 7, 9, 7, 7 strikeouts with tons of ground ball contact, only 2 earned in his last 2 starts, 4 earned in his last 3 starts, 8 earned. Well, I guess that was a bad outing there for him in that spot, but on the whole, Tariq Skubal has been exceptional, and now he gets a phenomenal spot here against the Halos that I'm sure they're going to put Ohtani in the lineup, and then they're going to scratch Ohtani and say, oh, we're sorry, ticket holders, for coming to Anaheim for a game that doesn't matter between 2 teams that aren't going anywhere. They should go to Disneyland instead. That the Star Wars ride is just fantastic. Not the one that's been there forever, which is fantastic. O2D2. Just, you know. I don't really know what to say. I'm in embarrassment. I am going to bet something here, though, but because legalized gambling is the only reason you could possibly enjoy this baseball game, because Griff Canning on the other side and this surely to be terrible Halos lineup, I'm a little confused why we're getting this kind of a number, even money, considering how good Skubal's been. Maybe it has something to do with Griffin Canning has some decent numbers, 26% K rate, 307 xWOBA, 235 expected batting average, but unlike Skubal, who has a 30.2% K rate, 252 xWOBA, and then they kind of have identical hard hits, but the lineup you have for the Detroit side is actually way better than the Angels are rolling out if Ohtani's not going to be in it. So I want to at least throw it out there. You got Logan O'Hop. It's got more hops to it. Brandon Drury, Randall Grichuk, doing all the things. Torkelson's been awesome. Kerry Carpenter's been awesome. Andy Ibanez has been awesome. Jake Rogers has been pretty good. Matt Vierling's been pretty good. Akil Badu. Pretty good stuff we got from the Detroit Tigers side. Just throwing it out there. I don't think even money's good enough here for me. I'm going to be putting a little sprinkle. Just a little bit of a sprinkle here on the Detroit money line. Nothing to go crazy with. But don't forget that boy told you to kick that dirt off your shoulders. Can't spell dirt without a D, baby. Detroit gets it done for us. Oh my God. Now, I said my favorite play is still the Philadelphia money line lock, but it looks eerily similar to this game. In fact, I just basically thought it was like a clone to a certain extent. It just has to do with the fact that Justin Steele, another guy who has been incredible this season, probably more so even than Aaron Nola. And that is a wild thing to say here about the Southpaw. The man of steel, Justin Steele, taking on Brandon Pfaadt. And Brandon Pfaadt has been disappointing. AAA level, he was expected to be one of the top prospects for Arizona this season. 1-8 with a 6.25 ERA, 1.45 whip, and just problems with hard contact across the entire lot. You got a Cubs team that could just murder the baseball, is in contention. In Arizona, they don't have any reason to push any of their pieces, although they're going back home here. I bet they probably make some choices. It looks like they started packing it in here after the Mets game, but they got to travel to go back home. Whereas the Cubs, they're hanging out here on the West Coast as it is. So, like, going to Arizona, pretty easy travel day for them. And the way better pitcher on the mound. I don't understand this line. Somebody has to explain it to me like I'm 5. The Chicago money line, this should also be closer to minus 150. Not quite, but like Justin Steele is that much better. This bullpen is that much better. And the Arizona lineup has outperformed expectations. But there is no doubt that this is a team blessed by God. The Cubs somehow, some way have put themselves into playoff consideration from a year that was certainly lost. People were saying trade Bellinger. I was thinking they were going to trade Bellinger at the deadline. They held Pfaadt. That was a Freudian slip. They held Pfaadt. They're not going to hold Pfaadt down. They're going to murder this dude. But they held Pat. They stood Pat there as they just continue to accumulate wins here after the All-Star break. Fun to watch. Justin Steele, extremely fun to watch with a 2.77 ERA, 1.13 whip. Peripheral numbers across the board that are just insane. 287 xWOBA, but 357 expected slugging, 24.5% K rate, just a 5% walk rate, and a 5% barrel percentage. Brandon Pfaadt, 11.7% barrel percentage. This is locked and loaded to just Chicago money line by fatality right here. Another lock for you. Again, looks eerily similar to Philadelphia here. In my mind, I look at this matchup and it says I should be valuing it more, but because of the ballpark, I actually value the Philadelphia money line a little bit more just in terms of what it can get done for you. What can Brown do for you? Or in this case, the Phillies. But the Chicago money line, a very close second because Justin Steele is that dude. 2 games to go. This one ain't it. Seth Lucum, Sean Newcomb. We are going to just hit the over of 8.5 for a lean. There is nothing to bet here. Nothing that I want. I don't even want to talk about it. And I'm a diva. Next game. Let's get out of here. The Dodgers, the Mariners. And guess what? Surprise! 3rd lock of the day coming down the pipeline. It's been a long time since I had 3 games I was this interested on the same freaking slate. But I just want to point out the 7.5 here. And I understand it's T-Mobile. I understand it's the best pitcher's park in baseball. I understand that it limits run creation. But this is the Los Angeles Dodgers here, friends. And it's going to be George Kirby on the other side. You know by now, George Kirby, not my favorite guy to go out of my way to back. And I do think, though, in this spot, that this is a perfectly efficient line. I'm not going to screw with the money line. It looks to be uniform across the board here. Minus 108, minus 112, minus 110, everything kind of within that tight window across the board in the marketplace. Don't think we're going to find any kind of value here. So if you're looking for a late night hammer, this is not going to be it in terms of money line. But I am very, very confused by this total. The Seattle lineup has started to come to fruition in a pretty real way. Over the course of this season now, up to a 107 WRC plus against right-handed pitching and a 181 ISO. Sure, they also carry a 25.6% K rate. They look a lot like Minnesota in that regard, where they're going to have massive games. They're also going to strike out a lot against that handedness. And Miller, he's somebody that I've targeted multiple times, not well, to try to be the guy who can put up those strikeouts, mainly because I'm so intrigued by his pitch mix. The guy throws 100-mile-per-hour heat. He absolutely has the type of repertoire between that, his changeup and curve that I just can't believe they're not more live at the big league level here yet. I find him to be insanely attractive as a pitching prospect. A 3.62 expected ERA, but a nearly 4 ERA. There's positive regression on the horizon. But it has to be said, the Mariners lineup has been so much better, so improved over the second half of this season. And I think they're playing up to expectation now. Julio Rodriguez wasn't really a thing at the beginning of the season. He is an absolute monster who is murdering things. Whatever he drank over the course of that All-Star break up in Seattle, keep drinking it, my friend, because it fixed you. I don't know if it was the home run derby or what. Something flipped, and the numbers are just out of this world here. He has enough other pieces around him. And Bobby Miller, although he has all these enticing pitches, although he has this insane velocity, he's not getting the swing and miss that I would expect. It's just not showing up. In fact, the only pitch, the curveball, is the one that he's really thrown quite a bit to lefties, and it's got a 35.1% whip percentage. But even that, I'm a little confused how it isn't higher, considering it plays nearly 20-mile-per-hour difference between his four-seamer and his curveball. Have you figured out that I did a lot of research on this one? I did. I think Bobby Miller is fantastic, but I want to target this total because I think it's a little bit broken. And part of that is George Kirby is going up against the Dodgers. And this is kind of the ultimate, like, trust it. Trust the numbers. Trust what I'm seeing. I'm going to roll with it. The Dodgers against righties, a 118 WRC plus with a 197 ISO. And don't forget, WRC plus takes into account ballpark factors. It doesn't change it individually for it. It averages it out. They're still going to be affected by ballpark factors, but it just talks to the quality of this lineup from top to bottom. Routinely, they've rolled out much better lineups, I feel like, against righties because you get those lefties of Peralta, Hayward, a number of other pieces that turn into Kiki Hernandez. Chris Taylor's been pretty good against pretty much both hands lately, but he's primarily going in against lefties, so not the worst situation to have there, but I do value them a little bit higher up against some of these righties based on their results over the last 3 months. So, George Kirby, I want to be targeting him. He doesn't get the swing and miss that you would think, 22.8%. He never walks dudes, 2.4%, but he's got a 41.3% hard hit percentage with a 12.9 degree average launch angle and a 267 expected batting average. My friends, I have this as 8.6 runs. That is nearly a run discrepancy. You never run into that on totals that are 7.5. I don't know the last time I had that. If it weren't for how much I love Philly, if it weren't for how much I love the Cubs, this would have been the play of the day. But in fact, it's just got to be a third lock on the board. So it's third in the pecking order, but it is a phenomenally grading play for me. I would be shocked if this number didn't close at 8. At the very least, the quality of these offenses beat out the quality of these pitchers. And yes, Miller will be good eventually. Kirby, I think he's a little bit overrated. I want to target here over 7.5 in Seattle to round out our day. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know if you got the correct score right. No, you probably didn't. It's very hard to do. But if you do, Kadai Senga, ooh, the ghost fork is incoming for you, my friends. Something like that. I don't know. Toy Story. It's beautiful. The ghost fork. Woo! Bet $50, get yourself $250. I love that bit. It's actually a fun bit. That's staying around till Halloween, except for Kadai Senga won't be there. So we'll have to do a Kadai Senga in memoriam for his season that he just had. It was beautiful. Anyway, Caesar Sportsbook, check them out. They're beautiful too. Bet 50, get $250, $550 bonus bets. Skol, baby. Skol. Skol. Skol, we're about to go get our asses kicked by Philly, and I'm going to go watch it with some friends. Can't wait, baby. Thank you, producer Jacob, for another week of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Be on the lookout for NFL Lindy's. We are going to go. We're ready to rock. Ready, Moss. Let's go. Skol. Skol. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Friday.